Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to YOUmedia Miami Virtual Podcast. We're representing the Miami-Dade Public Library System. My name is Vianney, and today's podcast, we're going to be discussing LGBTQIA plus community because it's Pride Month. So we want to bring awareness about Pride. So we're going to go around and say our name and where we're from. Shantae, you can start.
I'm Shantae. I'm from Miami, and I'm a specialist at Lemon City. Rachel.
I'm Rachel. I'm an instructor at South Dade Regional Library of Miami-Dade County.
What's up, guys? I'm RB. I'm an instructor at Lemon City, the best site. I'm not going to have any bias for that.
We love each other.
Hey, Jazz.
What's up, peeps? It's your girl, Jazz. From YOUmedia South, because it's the best site ever. South.
Oh, my God.
Which RB used to be there, but, he left.
Oh, my God.
She holds that against me for so long.
Yes, I do, and I will forever do that until you come back.
Oh, right. And last but not least is Nate, participant at Lemon City Library. The best LC. Yeah, throw it up, Barbie. You know.
Put that down.
You went to the right team. You put a Kevin Durant, but I appreciate it.
Put that down.
Go.
Everyone said their intros with so much swag. I got all tongue-tied. It's supposed to be such a relaxed LGBT, but we're going to jump into the first question of this discussion. So give me 1 second. The first question is, have you ever witnessed or experienced or participated in bullying or discrimination based on someone's gender identity or how they identify in the LGBTQIA plus community?
Yes.
Anybody could say yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say names or when, because this was actually pretty recently, but a friend of mine was going to the store. I was going with her, and not the one in Opalaka. Just going to state that. But no, I was walking to the store with her because she is a transgender. She now identifies as a female, which used to be a male. And some man came up to her, screaming at her racial slurs and insulting her, calling her, I can't say that word right now, but it's a bad word. And it made her feel like she meant nothing. And it really hurt me because you got to understand that we are still human, whether like what we identify as. And just to see that happening is just crazy to see people that like insult others because they're just different. They stand out for people,
Right. No, that's a great point. Anyone else want to share? No pressure.
And did you all just ignore them? I'm curious. Did you ignore them or?
I didn't. I said something.
I'll leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah, I can't say what I said because with this video, we will probably have to start over.
Yeah. So is there anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I'll go. Back when I was in a middle school, I didn't really know what the LGBT thing was, so I just thought we all were just just straight. Am I allowed to say that? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as soon as we found out like one of our peeps was gay, it started sort of a discrimination thing at the middle school, and the cool kids were the bullies back in the day. So if you weren't part of that group, you were always getting like picked on, And when they found that out, they used to pick on him all the time, and they used to be horrible. I actually didn't do anything, or my friends didn't do anything because we were wimps back in the day. We was just the group with the technology and all that. We was just chilling. But looking back at it, it was a very depressing time. I kind of regret not doing anything, not saying anything happened to the kid. He grew up to be this bright, loving man, but it just sucks when I see stuff like that. I don't really like to see stuff like that, you know. So, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing. I think we all have seen, witnessed, or whether we witnessed it or experienced it, different things like that. And it's sad because we're all human beings at the end of the day. We may have our differences and different opinions, but you should never make anybody feel bad about how they live their life and who they feel they are. That's just my personal opinion. I have had, you know, friends in my life who were ostracized pretty much because whether they identify as a male or a woman, or have various pronouns, whether it's she, they, you know, her. They've been ostracized from their community, whether it be their home, their school, or whatever religion they practice. They've been ostracized, so they haven't had the best experiences, or they've been thrown out of their homes for coming out as being a member of the community. And it's sad to see because they feel like they don't have anyone, that they're nothing. So I think it's really important to have this podcast to shed light on this and to be an ally for people a part of that community because they need a lot of support. Okay, so we're gonna we have a few more questions, but we're gonna jump into the first game. The first game covers historical facts about the LGBTQIA plus. It's so long, but I got the hang of it. Community history.
What does that mean for those who don't know?
Okay, so the L stands for lesbian, G is gay, B is bisexual, T is transgender, Q is queer or questioning, I is intersex, and the A is either asexual or an ally. So an ally is a straight person who is in support of the community. They're a friend, pretty much, of the community, and constantly like educated themselves. So they won't be pretty much ignorant about the community. So yeah, that's what it stands for. So the game is a Kahoot game. Both of the games we're going to be playing is Kahoot. I'm going to put in the chat the link for the screen.
Kahoot. And our game pin is 3, 3, 9, 7, 5, 2.
Oh, so we're logged.
Sound like an automated voice message. 3, 3.
Thank you so much, RB. I tried to every blue moon. They're so stale, aren't they? 3, 3,
3,
9,
9, 7, 5,
2.
2.
Thank you.
To repeat those numbers, press pound to proceed with your transaction.
Oh, jazzy brazzy.
Somebody put that. Oh.
Okay, for everyone. 1, 2.
That's gonna be the game.
All right, so I'm gonna start it. Okay, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law prevents openly gay Americans from serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, openly gay Americans from becoming teachers, openly gay Americans from becoming therapists, or openly gay Americans from traveling to other states.
I realize I need to have.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, good.
Okay.
I got it. Yes.
Y'all smart.
So I'm gonna go to the next one.
My first place? I'm second.
The Stonewall riots took place in Miami, Florida, Chicago, Illinois, New York, or Boston, Mass.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes.
Oh!
Yes. It took place in New York. If you're not familiar with it, it was the early mornings of June 28, 1969. Police raided a building called the Stonewall Inn. It's a New York City gay bar, and the customers and their supporters took a stand, and it turned into a violent protest that led to long days of riots. The Stonewall riots are largely considered to be the start of the LGBTQ civil rights movement in the United States. Such a fun fact.
They said no more. Look at y'all was laughing at the person who used the pen.
I wasn't. I just said somebody had the code. Somebody had the pen. I wasn't laughing.
How would they do that?
We use slang and phrases originated from the community.
Whoa.
Can y'all sing music?
Hey, I'm gonna be gone.
Oh.
Hey, okay.
Let's go.
So Rachel and I were looking at a lot of rap lyrics like Nicki Minaj, and I think even Meg Thee Stallion, even Lil' Kim and other rappers, they incorporated original gay slang or their community slang into rap lyrics. And now like everyone says it. Like I'll see straight people, no matter what you identify as, saying re, tea, throwing shade, snatch on Instagram.
What's the tea?
Yeah, like what's the tea?
That is true.
They're gonna throw me because I answered that slow. That's crazy. That is crazy.
All right.
Okay.
But it's cool. I'm coming up though. Whoever got
All right.
So true or false, the American Psychiatric Association diagnosed homosexuality as a mental illness. 1952.
What?
What? Yeah,
I read something about that.
Oh, come on.
I thought they did.
Actually, this is our era. It was 1952. This is correct. But so yes, being gay was it was determined by psychiatrists from that time that it was a mental illness, a psychiatric disorder. But in 1973, they declared that homosexuality is not a psychiatric disorder.
Rigged.
So it's actually true.
Oh my God.
You got it correct. That was
Rigged.
This is an easy one. Y'all should know this one. Everyone got that correct?
Okay.
You got it. We got it.
Okay.
All right. True or false? An ally. It means typically straight or cisgender person who supports and respects the LGBTQ plus community. True. Yes.
You're welcome for me getting to explain that. Sorry.
We got that right.
Yay, we're learning.
Mm-hmm. And so cisgender, it just means that you identify as the sex that you were born. So if you were quote unquote born a male, that's what you identify as you walk through the world. Which president was the first to acknowledge the LGBTQ community in the State of the Union address?
Definitely wasn't Trump.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Definitely wasn't. No, I'm not trying to say like that.
No,
definitely
I
wasn't.
know, man.
Everyone
Making me laugh. You just making me laugh, bro.
I wasn't trying to. I'm literally saying definitely wasn't.
It was
Okay.
Let's see who's the top. Okay. We're almost done with Illinois became the first state to criminalize homosexuality. What year did this happen?
Come on, Dana. It has to.
Kind of like the 60s.
Oh,
yes,
no.
sir.
Let's go.
The 60s was a bad year to be alive,
Yeah.
bro. There was a lot of stuff going on in the 60s.
Yep.
So in some states, it's basically a crime to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
And people were arrested.
Other actions, yeah.
Taken to jail.
Just for being who you are. Chicago, 1924. Henry Gerber founded the first gay rights group in America called Friendship and Freedom LLC, Pri-LGBTQ Organization, the Society for Human Rights, the Society for LGBTQ and Allies.
That sounds like it.
I go ahead. That was wrong.
Oh my God.
Society for Human Rights.
Friendship. I need to know who put friendship and freedom.
So Friendship and Freedom, it is affiliated with him. It was actually their newspaper, like their monthly newsletter was called Friendship and Freedom.
This was a total guess for me. I don't know Henry Gerber.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess that one too.
Henry Gerber.
This state became the first in the country to legally recognize civil unions between gay or lesbian couples.
No, come on, Kahoot, don't try me. Okay,
What?
yes, let's go.
Was California.
It's actually Vermont.
Nah.
I think California was next, but Vermont was the first.
Cool.
Yep.
And they moved me down. Wow.
When the Hollywood studios enact a motion picture production code prohibiting all references to homosexuality.
Come on, man.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh, whoa, okay. What?
In
They had movies back then?
Yeah. They were black and white, but they had pictures.
Wow.
You couldn't reference homosexuality, you couldn't be gay in a film, nothing. It was actual law against it. So that, let's see who won. That ends the first quiz. All right.
Who is that? That's something.
Rachel.
Rachel just snuck up, yeah.
Yeah, see, Rachel was all quiet.
Yeah, she was all quiet after you. Yeah.
You guys did really well.
Yeah, the Vermont. That's news to me. So Vermont was first and then California, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's new.
So I'm gonna kind of take over a little bit. So as you know, there were still laws being passed as long ago as over 2 years ago to protect their rights. As long ago as now, there's still laws being passed to protect the rights of LGBTQ people in the USA. I know in North Carolina, there was an amendment to prohibit people from using different bathrooms than they were born with. So their gender association, if they were a transgender, they would be criminalized for using a bathroom that goes with their gender affiliation. So it's still a relevant issue. And knowing that there's still a lot of human rights legislation that's being passed with the community, I'm wondering why you think it is so, or if you've noticed it all, that it's very common for companies to put out messaging and advertising commercials, packaging that is referencing pride, LGBTQ pride, and rainbow themes in their commercials and branding.
Yeah, why are they? And have you noticed? Have you even noticed this?
Yeah.
I haven't. Movies for sure, and new sitcoms.
Or even they're using it, Jasmine. It's like all of a sudden, like for instance, an Apple, a couple years ago, they had like their logo turned rainbow and things like that. So why do you think like they're doing things like that?
Honestly, I don't even know. It's just like, I don't even know if I can even explain like why people do that. I think it's just from marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like basically it's more inclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a way to, include the LGBTQIA plus community. If you're smart, right?
Right.
Yeah, like what they do in the month of June for the Skittles company, they make all of their Skittles white on the outside and they have the rainbow colored on the inside.
Really?
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
They come in the white packets too, and they have the rainbow colored Skittles, but everything on the outside is white. They do that for Pride Month, you know. I only
That's
feel like
interesting.
large companies do that, try to include themselves and that including people so they wouldn't get bashed for not being a part of it or being against it or whatever.
Right. Because if you're caught on the side of being against it,
hmm Then that company will plummet and they'll go into debt and they'll have to go bankrupt, and that'll be a whole crazy spiral in like the economic world, you know.
yeah,
Definitely.
right. We're all more vocal nowadays, so before you know it, yep, no company wants to be attacked on Twitter, right, on social media. So, and the community, from what I've seen, will definitely attack or go after those who have even made comments, right, from
30
1970.
years ago.
Yeah, and they'll dig it up and say, "Remember this?" So, and
See,
you have
from back then compared to right now, people are more sensitive and more aggressive towards their pronouns and how they feel about themselves, because there's a larger group of people that are in the LGBTQIA plus community. They have a stronger voices. There's a larger gathering of them compared to back then. There was a rare few, and if you were caught being a part of that community, you were literally disowned, you were bullied, you were hurt, you were jumped by because people seen you as different. Now, since people are more stronger now in that community, them going a large group of them going after people going against them, it's a larger difference, and that could affect people. And especially with everything that's going on now with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, we honestly really don't even need all that extra fight right now. We just need to be like that.
Exactly. And I think now it's very more vocal because we have public figures in our community that are members of the LGBTQIA plus community. So when you have figures, that kind of gives you some social political capital in a way, and you're able to show your influence within the community and get people on board with your cause. So I think that's when we can probably move into our second game.
We're gonna move into our second game. I believe I'm the host now, and I'd like to share my screen because we have another game coming. And you thought that game was hard, you may have thought that was easy, but this one, I'm telling you, you better know to get all these right. So right now we're gonna talk about LGBTQ innovators and historic figures. Some of them you may know, and some of them you know what they've done, but you didn't know who did it. So are you guys ready to play?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Thank me.
So here's our game pen. We have 65, 22, 9, 1, 2.
Dang, that song was swag.
Okay.
Right.
This is a cry.
No, big cafe.
Big cafe. Mucho grande cafe. Little Spanish that I learned. That's the only thing I've learned.
Do we have everyone?
Oh.
Is it me you're looking for?
Are you ready?
go.
Great. What star pushed for her Avengers character to be explicitly bisexual on screen?
Oh,
Wow.
everybody got that wrong.
There was a picture of her up there.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I thought of Black Widow automatically. Like,
That messed me up. So
yeah, that messed me up.
We have some info about Tessa Thompson. She also played in the movie Creed and For Color Girls as
Creed.
well, so you may know her from those films.
Yeah.
What?
She identifies as a queer woman, and she pushed for her Avengers character to be explicitly bisexual, and she frequently advocates for more inclusion in Hollywood. And she says, I don't think any artists have the responsibility to be an ambassador, especially when it comes to who you love. And she says she doesn't begrudge anyone who wants to keep that separate from their professional life. There's not just a perceived risk of coming out in Hollywood. There's a real one. So a lot of artists have had a hard time in Hollywood coming out the closet. So she's taking a stand for people of her community.
Go Tessa.
Yeah. That's the fun.
Okay, that was an easy one. The next one is much harder, I promise.
Oh, great.
That was easy. We all got it wrong.
right.
Okay, this one, Wendy Carlos is an American trans Grammy Award-winning innovator of what genre of music?
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Somewhere.
Say, hey.
She's the innovator of electronic music. She's one of the first to master the synthesizer, and the pioneer for EDM and synth pop music.
She also did a lot of soundtracks for movies, such as I think a few Stanley Kubrick movies. You know, he's the person behind The Shining, Clockwork Orange, and 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Cool.
And a transgender female individual. All right, next question. Lil Nas X made waves when he came out as gay during the height of a song called.
Know this one.
Everyone got that right.
We all know
No,
this one.
You have no idea. Like, I found this out like 2 weeks ago.
What?
And I
Really?
sat there and I was questioning everything, and I just sat there wondering, like, maybe that's why he's so pink. Oh,
Yeah, I think that a lot of males, whether you identify as being a member of the community or you're straight, they're exploring like gender roles and what they can wear. I know a lot of straight men who wear pink as well. Because sometimes certain jobs or colors of clothing can be associated with women, like pink is for girls, blue is for boys. But a lot of people, no matter what they identify as, are challenging that notion that it's just a color and that anyone could wear any color they choose. Pretty much.
Harry Styles does that. He's very open with his clothing and stuff like that. And he said on an interview that he doesn't identify as neither. He just dresses the way he dresses because he likes to express himself. He's very open with a lot of stuff,
I love that.
Okay. So next question. How about that? Oh, we're making some leaps and bounds up here. All right.
Okay.
So Chelsea Manning was banned from a clothing store for trying to use a woman's bathroom. Is that why she's famous, or could it be for another reason? Ooh, you guys all got that wrong. Chelsea Manning actually is a really important person in American history for the reason of being a soldier in the Iraq War. At the time, Chelsea was not out as transgender, but actually was a soldier who encountered a lot of things within the military practices and warfare tactics that she didn't believe were up to the codes of warfare. And actually, you guys remember WikiLeaks?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm a little old here, but WikiLeaks was when a lot of military operations were revealed to the public in a document, and that was Chelsea Manning, who became an activist for, basically an anti-war activist.
She was behind WikiLeaks?
Indeed. And was jailed for 7 years.
Wow. That's
Crazy.
important.
Oh man, come on.
All right, so we're gonna continue on. This is reminding me of Domino's with the logo here. Okay.
Right.
Marsha P Johnson was an American gay liberation activist and self-identified drag queen. Is this true or false?
Everyone got that?
That
Right,
was
I got that one right.
Yeah, she's very outspoken. She's an advocate for gay rights. She was one of the prominent figures in the Stonewall Uprising of 1969. There's actually a documentary about her story on Netflix. That's very interesting.
She also established one of the first aid networks for transgender individuals that was called I believe it was Street Transgender Assistance. And they would go rescue, and they would go and help all types of individuals that had been kicked out of their home or faced other consequences, and help them with food, housing, and other things.
Yeah, I accidentally called Marsha P Johnson her. I don't know what her pronouns or their pronouns are. And I think that's also something that, you know, if we're an ally, we should be mindful of, to like ask someone what they identify as, whether it's he, her, they. It was never clear, I think, in the documentary what they identified as pronouns wise.
I apologize for that. Thank you. Okay. True or false? Artist Frida Kahlo was a straight ally of the LGBT community.
That blue be playing with me, man.
So,
color blue.
if you're not familiar with Frida Kahlo, she's actually one of my favorite artists. She's a Mexican painter known for her portraits, self-portraits, and works inspired by nature and artifacts of Mexico. She served as a role model for many artists, people with disabilities, because she got into an accident herself and was disabled at one point. And I think she was in a wheelchair, from my understanding. So she's a part of a marginalized community as a person of color, someone who's disabled, and someone who identifies as a bisexual woman. So that's Frida Kahlo.
Beyonce likes her as well.
Yeah, I think she dressed up as her, right?
There was a movie starring Salma Hayek with her as well, which also explored that those themes in her life, her relationship with another painter, Diego Rivera, as well as other female artists, including Georgia O'Keeffe. Okay, Janet Mark is an actress on the FX show Pose. True or false?
I don't know, man.
This is tricky. Is this a tricky question, y'all?
I feel like it is. Ha!
Two.
I actually got it right.
That's Janet Mock. Janet Mock is a trans woman. She's a writer, a director, activist. She made history. She's the Pose writer and director. She signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Netflix, becoming the first Black transgender woman to establish an overall deal with a major studio. She also wrote for a lot of fashion magazines, and from what she told of her story, she lived her life as a woman, as she identified as, and no one knew that she was transgendered, and she came out and wrote a huge article that was groundbreaking. You could probably Google it, just coming out to the world basically as transgender, and also to her journalism network in her career. So she's a pretty cool story, and she has 2 books that she published about her journey. You can also watch Pose on Netflix as well.
Which is the director of, right?
Yeah, she's the director of, which is huge.
Because I started to watch it and I loved it, And then I found out later that Janet Mock directs it. That was super cool.
Yeah, Pose is it was inspired by a documentary called Paris is Burning. I'm not sure if that documentary is still available on Netflix, but you can check it out. It talks about the voguing and underground ball scene in New York in the 1980s, which is really interesting because now voguing is a dance that a lot of people are doing. It's become really popular. I think even Madonna made a song called Vogue in the 80s, or maybe it was like the early 90s. So yeah, it's a lot of history there.
All right. Karl Heinrich Orecks was the first gay person to publicly speak out for what?
Ooh.
Oh man. Yes, sir. I got it.
I should have went with that. I don't even know why.
I got it.
But housing.
Right.
Homosexual rights.
So he was born August 28th in 1825. So this is way back in the day. And he died in 1895. But he was a German lawyer, a journalist, and an author who was seen as the pioneer of modern gay rights movement. So that's his story. Some of his story.
I want to also note that that's kind of for the Western world, because there's some cultures across the world that gay rights was always a part of their culture. We're almost through with this quiz. Hang in there. All right, so Zenelli Maholi is a South African poet who writes poems about the LGBT community.
Okay.
What is true anymore? I don't
Blue.
know.
That's what I'm saying,
Stop
man.
picking true.
I love that color blue.
Her work is prolific. You can Google some of her photographs. They're beautiful. So she's a South African artist, a visual artist working in photography, video, and installation. Her work focuses on race, gender, and her body of work looks at the Black, lesbian, gay, transgender, and intersex individuals. Her work is stunning.
Oh, cool.
She's definitely someone to gain some creative inspiration from.
So she's a photographer and visual artist, not a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That picture was so misleading.
I think somebody's coming up.
Okay, let me take my place.
All right, Blank is often called the father of modern computing. He was a brilliant mathematician and logician. What's his name?
Who in the world is Alan?
He looks like an Alan.
Alan. One of my favorite characters in history because of his interesting story. He actually laid the ground. He was an English scientist and mathematician, and he laid the groundwork for basically everything we deal with today with computers. So he kind of first invented algorithms, and his logic was what led to his first machine. There's also something called the Turing Test, which would be a test that was used. It's actually in Blade Runner. If you've seen the first Blade Runner, they use that to determine whether the machines are human or a machine. So really interesting figure, but at the time in the 1940s, 50s, homosexuality was a crime. He was engaged to a colleague who was a woman, told her that he was a homosexual, had a relationship with a man, and the government did arrest him, put him in jail, and it's a really sad story what happened after, but we're always a part. His inventions are a part of our daily life.
Thank you, Alan. Turing.
Wow. Okay, Jocelyn.
I know Jazzy Brazzy took what?
Right, coming up to the top. This one's Moonlight. How many of you guys have seen Moonlight?
Oh, I love this movie.
Barry Jenkins.
I get this wrong, I'm gonna be so absolutely livid.
Come on.
Thank you. I was the only one who got it right.
Well,
Okay, so Barry Jenkins is American film director, producer, and screenwriter. The film Moonlight is it looks at 3 defining chapters in the life of, I think his name is pronounced Sharon, a young Black man growing up in Miami. So not Toronto. That was a trick question. His epic journey to manhood is guided by the kindness, support, and love of the community that helped raise him. So it's a very inspiring movie. It's available on Netflix as well. And I think Hulu.
Give a shout out.
Won the Oscar for the Best Picture. I believe that was in 2017. And yeah.
And I think someone mentioned that some of our team members knew some of the actors in the movie.
It's true. I know that one of our teens at North told me that his friend was actually one of the child actors in the movie, and he's gone on to do a lot of big things as an actor. And also interesting to note, Barry Jenkins himself is straight. He's married to a woman, and he identifies as straight. But he did collaborate with gay artists and scriptwriters on the story, and wanted to make sure that he got the story right.
Terrell McCraney. He's from Miami, Florida. He actually grew up in Miami, and the story is almost based around a lot of his parts of his life. So shout out to him and to the drama teachers at Miami Norland, because they did give the kids an opportunity to be a part of this film. So yeah, she definitely
made in Miami, 100%. Right.
All right.
Hey, Cafe.
Hello.
Who's hello?
Is it me you're looking for?
Yeah.
I see you. I see you.
All right.
Love guys.
Jesse. Good for y'all. That was fun.
I think a lot of us have learned some new information. Even myself, there's a lot of things that I didn't know. So, yeah. We have one more discussion question.
What do y'all think? Listen, for all the teens watching or will watch, and hopefully share this video, what information or what words of wisdom do you all, Jaslyn and Nate, what do y'all think you guys could say to them if they are struggling with their identity or with family and peers not being accepted? What do you think you can tell them?
Well, me being in that situation before where I had to help a friend out with their family because they were giving her issues because she came out as a gay female. And they weren't accepting her, and they were threatening to kick her out because of it, and they were going to legally disown her. I had to sit there simply just telling her just to be strong, just to never forget who she is, and whatever happens, happens. At least she's true to herself, and she needs to figure out what she needs to do with her life if they're going to treat her like that, because it's really not okay. You are who you are, and you need to be who you want to be for the future. Otherwise, you're not staying true to yourself, and you're never going to be happy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Nate?
I was
hopping too. I stay strong.
Yeah, I was kind of around the same note. Not everybody is gonna, agree with your morals or standards. Just be true to yourself. There's people out there that are with you. They're gonna gravitate towards you no matter what. People are gonna bash you for being different. That's just how it is. That's the reality of it. But if you stay strong, there's people out there with their hand out ready to grab on and attach themselves onto you. So that's how I view life. That's how I view everything. So yeah.
I agree. I think you guys summed it up, right? So better words could we say besides just for someone else? Because as Jazz said, it just may be not so peachy. But either way, you just may have to deal with something, but either, as Nate said, someone will be there to support you along the way for sure. There's so many organizations, and YOUmedia is a very safe place as well. So
I agree. I think everybody made valid points. I was reading an article on CNN that talks about how you can be an ally. And like we learned, like an ally is someone who's not a part of the community, but wants to support and create safe spaces for people who are. And they gave some good tips on like how you can be an ally. They said that one way is to use the appropriate pronouns. So ask them, what do you want to identify as far as default, he, she, they. If someone comes out to you, it's like not your place to share their story. So just really listen to them and be there to support them. Like Jaslyn did for her friend, to speak up against prejudice, even being discriminated against. Like, take a stand if you feel comfortable, and be a support to them. And don't make their experience about you. Everyone has their own journey in life, and some people have different identities, but it's always respectful of their experience. And then learn, like educate yourself. So yeah, I think that's what we're all doing. So I appreciate like you all for joining the podcast, and I think we definitely created a safe space. And a lot of teams who will watch will gain a lot of knowledge and feel support, even if they're not physically on this call, on the Zoom chat. So yeah.
yes, and continue to take up for other people. When you see something that's not right, you step in. Otherwise, you seem to be an accessory. So don't be silent about it. Trans people, they're often for sure overlooked, and we don't get to see those stories at all. Well, not often, at least.
Right.
So yeah.
And yeah, it's true that not everybody gets treated equally under the law all the time. So we have to make sure that I want to thank you guys for coming out for this podcast and showing support and, being that person in the room that is going to stand up for other people. Takes a lot of strength, and thank you.
So I wanted to promote to you guys this Friday, we're having a special guest. Her name is Shantae Haymore Kearney. She's warm-hearted and she works for a nonprofit, and she informs people about wellness and trauma. She has a history of teaching yoga and meditation, mindfulness, self-care. I think that's something that's great during this time. So if you're interested in learning more from her about how to stay mindful and practice self-care, Friday would be a great podcast to join. Yeah, she might be doing some activities with us as well. So that should be fun. So thank you. That concludes this today's podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you all on Friday. So everyone have a good day. Bye.